Major changes are happening here in this garden. I'm no longer going to be focusing on growing in these garden boxes. My original plan was to grow this entire area, about 100 by 100 square foot, in all of these different garden boxes. I'd have these trellises all the way through, and I would be able to walk through things, and I'd have raised garden beds. And I just saw that there was a big lack of space. Like, there's just so much space that I'm missing out of. And through the past 2 years that we've been growing, I realized that it's just not enough. It's not enough to be able to grow out of these boxes. We want to grow more, bigger, better. I want a food forest. Now, I didn't think it was possible to grow in this ground at all because it's super rocky. It's not even clay-based, it's rocky, and there is slate rock just not too far underneath the soil. So any kind of in-ground stuff, I couldn't even till the ground to change stuff because it's just rock. It's really just not a good spot to be able to grow in, but it gets the most light, and it's a great position for a garden. It's just not a great ground for the garden. I was then encouraged by my friend Anne of Anne of All Trades to not even focus on garden boxes at all anymore. It's a waste of space, and I have too much land, and I want to do too much to be able to just focus on these little garden boxes. She encouraged me to do what she did in her garden, and that's to get tons of mulch delivered, lay it out throughout the whole space, and then use this as the ground level, the floor, everything that I'm going to be planting into. The idea is to dig a hole big enough for the roots of the plant to be able to go inside of this spot, almost like you have a pot for it. You're going to be filling that space, that hole that you created, with a bunch of really good, nutritious compost and whatever else the plant needs inside of that spot. The wood chips and the mulch itself is going to retain a lot of that moisture, keeping your garden from not even really needing to be watered throughout the season. There is a large argument against doing this because they say that the nutrients gets washed out away from the plants, just sucked up through all the carbon and washed out. Now, I've seen this actually work perfectly. This is how Anne did her garden, and I've walked it, I've witnessed it, and I know she doesn't water it. The wood chips not only absorb the water, but the nutrients that go with it, and in doing so, it retains a lot of the nutrients that would then be washed out, giving more nutrients to your plants over time. What I had planned to do originally through this whole place is bring in a bunch of dirt, but it just got to be a really big hassle. A lot of the dirt to deliver here is very rocky. We can get some delivered for free, but it's really thick, big boulders and rocks. You may have seen that in that other video I posted, where I was trying to build the garden boxes out of stone. That all came from delivery of dirt. But I could get more mulch quicker, faster, cleaner, and it should give me better results over time anyway. I only have so much mulch delivered for today, so this is going to be something that's going to be growing. So this space is going to be growing all winter long, so that hopefully by the time spring comes around, I'll be ready this upcoming spring to grow a food forest here in this spot, which I wasn't able to do before. And I won't have to deal with those finicky garden beds. I'll be able to grow throughout this whole place. So here's some of the ideas that I have for this whole space and what to do and what you can expect to see in the future as we grow this area. So now, being in connection with arborists, we're able to get that mulch delivered for free, but also full entire logs of wood, things that we didn't need to cut down. This is going to be useful because I'll be able to use these giant logs as a retaining wall and something to actually drill into or whatever in order to build a fence up around it, keeping my chickens out of my garden because it's a problem that I'm having right now with those garden boxes. I do free-range chickens and I did a whole video about it. My one issue is that they get into my garden. They didn't until I got new hens, and those hens found that garden and now they bring everybody over there. So something I had planned in the future was to build a fence around the garden anyway, so I'm just forced to a little bit sooner. But if you want to go see that video of why I do free range chickens, you could go check out here. See how thick these logs are, and they're going to give me a really good base to be able to build up those fences that I desperately need. Here's a pumpkin that they stole from my garden this morning. Can't tell you how frustrating that was. And because we're going to need so much compost in order to fill a large space, it's not going to be in rows, it's just going to be in little pots. But we're going to need so much of it that we got in contact with a horse ranch who houses horses, and they have giant piles of horse manure that they need to get rid of. So it's horse manure mixed with really good wood chips, and we're going to be building up this pile. I need to go pick that up, bring it here because they're not going to deliver it for me, and we're going to grow this compost pile large enough to be able to feed our plants once we plant in the spring. So with all that said, we'll get a little bit of this worked out today. We'll put some cardboard underneath this mulch in order to build a nice bed underneath to keep any grass from growing up and to bring good worms to us. I'm trying to be innovative with this, with spending as least amount of money as I possibly can, because I don't want to spend money on garden boxes. I guess I wanted to finish this first because it was a big step up inside of there, and well, I figure I'm gonna flatten a lot of this out for the garden anyway, and I may go, let me see if you can see how thick this is. Okay, I may go this thick for most of it, so maybe a foot, 2 feet in some spots. It's something I've got to figure out as we go, because really the depth only matters for the plants that I'm going to put in here. So a really thick layer is not bad. Plus, nothing's going to be planted right here anyway. It's just so that I can walk up inside of there without having to take a big step every time. All right, let's see this as I go and walk up. It's a little squishy, but it's a lot better than taking this giant step every time. Plus, my boys have a hard time, they always trip over this. I may go a little bit higher. I'm not sure. This could be a good spot to stop, but I am going to level it out down here just a little bit more, and that'll be it for probably today. And then in future videos, I'm going to be going to Costco, getting a bunch of free cardboard to lay down underneath everything, so hopefully it will keep crabgrass from growing up. That's going to be next. Until then, thanks for watching. See you guys later.